everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing what inevitably has to happen if you are playing a Corey Steel Cutter deck, and that is obviously to try it out with one of the best packages in the game that has already been dominating, but we get to push that advantage even further beyond than what we normally be able to, and that is the Heartfire Hero kind of monstrous rage manifold mouse synergy that has been so good in the past, and then we just get more cards added to the deck, and we get to add a couple of other things because of this card. But yeah, we start with Heartfire Hero and a manifold mouse or a monstrous rage plus a Swift Spear. We are allowing ourselves to play a card like Might of the Meek. We're not playing Is It, so this is kind of our opt replacement or our sleight of hand replacement in a deck like this. And other than that, we are on to our Questing Druid and Hearth Elemental that we're playing now for extra card draw and extra double spelling that we want to do. And we're trying to trigger prowess quite as much as we can because we have Corey Steel Cutter in the deck. If you haven't seen this card and you've not been playing Standard, or if you've been playing Standard and you somehow haven't seen this card, I have no idea what format you're playing. But this card is everywhere. This card says, whenever you cast your second spell, each turn make a 1/1 monk that has prowess. You may attach this equipment to it. And that is why we are opting to play way more things like Questing Druid, where we can exile top 2, hit a spell, or exile top 2 and play this if needed. And then we have Hearth Elemental. When we go empty-handed for 2 mana, we discard your hand. If you have no hand size, you discard nothing. And then we are still rewarded with 2 cards. And then it is a 4/5. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard that instants or sorceries and or have adventure on them. So any instant, sorcery, or adventure card, including itself, but there's only 2, so realistically that's never coming up unless the Questing Druid is in there. But most likely this is going to be sitting in the exile zone as well with the Hearth Elemental. So realistically it'll have to be one off our spells, and that's where kind of Burst Lightning, Might of the Meek, and Shock come in really, and then along with obviously Monstrous Rage. But in games where Monstrous Rage is in the graveyard, most of the time our opponent's dead anyway because this card is absurd. With that said, today when this airs, it is my birthday. I have grown 1 age older and we're on the edge, dude. I don't know. But I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope you all enjoyed the video. With that said, let's dive in. All right, we're on the draw. We got a good hand. Let's go. Hearth Elemental is going to be the weird card in our deck, but discard your hand, draw 2 cards. But you typically want to do that when obviously we have no hand size, really. Go land, go into a Heartfire Hero. We could go Might of the Meek into a Monstrous Rage, but that seems honestly one of the worst plays we could probably make. Update, we don't get to do either. Corey Steel Cutter is probably going to be super crucial to find in this matchup, especially if they're a heavy removal, which it seems that way. We don't know quite yet. Take a little bit more information before we solve that problem. Yeah, another pass here kind of just tells us that story, I think. Target here. We do this so we don't have to invest a spell. Just like that, we get another creature down. Could fall into our Brother's Hidden next turn, which would be bad. Maybe they didn't want to invest it on 1 creature. All right, on 4 they did nothing. So what is the play here? Just do the same thing essentially. So weird with our hand. They did nothing prior, so let's try. I don't know what for 4 mana changes the math, right? Another Swift Spear. Where this is hurting the most. Combat. Monstrous Rage this one. We just have nothing. Okay. We got Xaxes, but I don't even know what to say. Like, sure, I guess. I don't know. All right, we go first here. Weird kind of draw, but we have 3 lands, so it actually works out pretty well for us. We get to, of course, interactions obviously possible here, but we go into a Manifold Mouse on 2, into a Corey Steel Cutter, into a Might of the Meek on the mouse, pump the mouse, make a dude, mouse hits for 4. Especially in a matchup like this. Do want to play this, but we'll just wait. Definitely a manifold mouse play here. Be mana efficient about it. Double strike, because this only gives trample, right? I say only trample one or one mana spell, but we see a Quarry Steel Cutter or an investment of a removal spell on this manifold mouse. It's a weird one. Or a plotted slick shot. Or just played a slick shot. What will we get from our opponent here? Quarry Steel Cutter, okay. A tap out situation, which is fine, obviously. I could Might the Meek, but I think I want to establish a Heartfire hero here, and I'll probably let one extra damage go. And I want to put an extra counter on the Heartfire hero and grow it in a spot like this, I think. Because on the following turn, it'll keep that counter, so then... So we're giving up 1 damage now to do 5 damage later. That makes sense. Or it'd be 4 because we lose 1, and this does 1. Yeah. You get it. You get it. Maybe you get it. Maybe you don't get it. I don't know. But with a Burst Lightning, a Torch to Tower, okay. That's fine. We give up 1 damage there, sure, but I feel a little bit more confident about this until they remove that, maybe. Alright. It doesn't typically have that much removal. It has a lot here, but that's okay. Little part of me just wants to offspring this. But like, is that worth? I think so. In a spot like this. I don't get to make an extra creature, but I think that's okay. Click the same one. It doesn't really matter. 2. We're kind of in the aggressive spot. Our opponent could, in theory, kill us in a slick shot, monstrous rage kind of nonsense play, but or they get us really low and then we can kind of fire back pretty aggressively. There's slick shot. You have a Burst Lightning to remove the 2/2 if they hold the additional 1 back, but they don't. And how much removal is in your hand, dog? Torch and slick shot sequence. Welcome to standard best of 1. I mean, just removal after removal. I mean, I don't know if I could beat that. No? Sure. I mean, with a Monstrous Rage and a Might of the Meek and stuff like that, the chances are still there for us to swing for lethal. Our opponent's going to hit for a ton. There's no reason to block, really. We don't win by blocking, and if we're not dead, we shouldn't. So Burst Lightning is a card. We'll target here. And there's a Monstrous Rage. Does that get us home? I believe it does. Just like that in 1 swift turn. We strike back for lethal. Our opponent had a lot of removal. And that's 10 on the board on just this mouse alone. I'm just showing them that I have it. But yep. Cool. They held nothing back. Although I do think like the double striking 5/2 probably was going to be too much, especially considering it had trample as well. It also, instead of 2 at them, we just hit a thing for 2 so they can't block something like our 4/4, right? But yeah, we get there. All right, our opponent goes first. Our hand's like okay. We only have 1 threat, but we have either damage / removal, which is obviously really nice. Island, sleight of hand, most likely is it. We just see a basic island here. We're in the opposite seat of what our opponent last turn, or where we were last turn. Hopefully the same result doesn't happen. We ended up winning that game because they only really had removal. We hope that obviously the opposite happens. Quarry Steel Cutter also outpaces all this burn over time. Sure. Now that has changed the math a bit. I'll play here. Be passive or aggressive. Flick shot and everything can answer this. Burst Lightning and stuff's going to find a hard time answering that. I'm going to Monstrous Rage to make it just a bit tougher to answer our Swift Spear. Lightning Strike's not a common card in these decks right now. If it was Boros, I'd be a little bit more scared of like a lightning helix or something, but now I believe it's got to be like burn, slick shot sequence or something. There's Corey Steel Cutter, sure. Just a blue might mean like a spell pierce or something. Or it could be a shore up. I'm way more inclined to believe it's a oh, please invest a spell. Or it's just opt, right? I don't know. There's a lot it could be. I'm just going to shut my brain off and try to remove it. It is a shore up. Okay. Interesting. Shore up is typically like a one of at most. That's only going to be there for the turn. This is obviously dangerous, but not near as dangerous as it could be. Fire this off. I just remove their last creature and just force them to make more, and then try to go for Hearth Elemental next turn. I think so, right? Clear the board, just make them work to make my life total lower, not let them hit me for free every turn. Especially again with this on board. Most likely we'll be able to play land, then cycle the Hearth Elemental, or cast the last spell, then cycle the Hearth Elemental. And depending what the last spell is, we'll determine whether this is 1 mana or 2. Another slick shot sucks. That's awful for us. People kind of forgot how good this card was, I think. Card is unfair. And a keep on top was not great. Down to 8. Here. At 8, we're so likely to be dead. Oh, what a horrible draw. We attack with this 3. We hold this back because we have like 0 chance to win now with these draws, which is tough. They kept on top, which is basically a guaranteed spell. They never keep a land on top there. Sure, so that's 1. We have to throw a block. Not casting a second spell here to make another haster makes no sense to me, but I guess the math doesn't matter. Like, I don't know, man. Oh yeah, we'll keep. Every time we've been in an aggro matchup, whoever's had the Corey Steel Cutter has pretty much been in position to win the game. Gonna play a Swift Spear to attack with haste, but with the Heartfire hero, why would we not play the hero first? So we can attack like this turn. Here comes a Corey Steel Cutter. I'll attack now, and then we can play Swift Spear, cast all of our... We can cast our entire hand, actually. I would assume something coming down. Yeah, sure. Removal would be best. Okay. Ask and I shall receive, I suppose. With Spear in. First. In. Then here is where we'll invest the Might of the Meek, because we know there's no removal in response. And this can draw us a card. Sure. And now we have a pretty good follow-up turn. Just like that, we can see the value of Corey Steel, but realistically, we are just having a very aggressive hand. This card is just kind of okay in a spot like this. Swift Spear. Combat. I'm just kind of... I assumed they had something, but I guess not. I could have cast a Monstrous Rage. They remove the thing in response. I'd pass, I guess. I don't know. It's just one of those weird things where I just assumed they would have like a Burst Lightning or some... Okay, they literally had nothing else. Okay. They had play that, Shelter by Ghost most likely, and Monstrous Rages and whatnot. I just assumed there was something. So I was playing around it and just being like, okay, I'll hit them and then guarantee lethal next turn. We have options with this hand. Obviously, we start off with the hero. Manifold Mouse is a pretty good draw. Corey Steel's a good draw. We'll see. Blue, white. I'm going to go ahead and start off the Challenger and just hit for 3. question marks of what this matchup is. Sure. Mill? Okay. Target here. We're just looking for burn to close the game at this point. Or a monstrous rage. Monstrous rage does pretty good at that too. We just need this red. Here. And then I'll just cast them. Might as well. Them as close as I can to where 2 burn spells draws for lethal. Because most likely what? Temporary lockdown. Also, if this dies, then we win. But, or if I just keep drawing lands, that'd be pretty cool for us. Here, target here. Because this will happen before they can respond. So even if they remove this in response. Might, okay. Combat. Attack. A flanker. Sure, so they go to 7 here. With 1 toughness, we actually get more damage by Might of the Meeking than Burst Lightning this out of the way. It doesn't matter regardless because we'll get the prowess regardless. But in case it did matter, sure we'll lose a creature, but it doesn't matter if we win the game, right? So if we Burst Lightning this would hit for 3, but if we Burst Lightning them, they take 1 more damage overall. And just Might of the Meek, whatever they block. Which I guess Heartfire Hero has trample anyway, so it doesn't really matter, right? Yeah, so in a spot like this, we just Might of the Meek this, give it trample. And then we just Burst Lightning upstairs. Yep. We get there pretty quickly, putting them -3. One of the hard parts about playing a card like this and milling, like, if I was on control, that card is devastating to me because I can never beat it. But because I'm on aggro, I just get to ignore that they even played this card. It's never really going to be relevant. Overall, like, it could happen, but realistically, a lot has to go wrong for that card to beat us, or we had already lost way before that card matters. All right, we get to go first to our winning in here, and we have the cutter, which is pretty awesome. So we will keep. Play land, pass. This is always the weird one. Is like, do you opt to go for Corey Steel Cutter first or Manifold Mouse first? Okay, my winning in is going to be a very awful match. I have learned my winning in is going to suck. Okay, cool. Guess we play this, right? I have no idea. This matchup is something. Just turn 1 authority is so awful for us. Oh, why not 2? Sure. When there's 1, why not make them 2? At this point, I hope their whole hand's authorities. I'm lying. I really don't hope that. Sure. This is such a weird one, man. Okay, that's fine. Sure. I'm not on authority. I'm not necessarily sold that authority's nuts. I know some people like it a lot, but I've already played a spell this turn, so honestly, this is a matchup where burn's just going to be super relevant. I will not invest another creature at any point here. I think I just slowly chip away here. I mean, I have lethal, right? Combat. Target here. A double strike. Attack. Burst lightning. This is one of the reasons I don't like authority. Like, I don't know. Like, authority is so good. It gained them so much life and definitely extended the game. But if we're going to play Authority, I don't think we necessarily want to be playing High Noon. And if we're playing High Noon, I don't think we want to play Authority, because both of these are kind of serving the same purpose, right? And because you have so many of these effects in your deck, you just eventually don't have anything to interact with the board when you get weird, clunky hands. Now, sometimes is it going to curve out well and do well, and you're going to be like, these cards are great? Obviously, that'll happen, right? And if they're playing the 4-mana thing, they're probably just looking for more hits. But having more hits doesn't necessarily mean it's better than this just being a Get Lost or an Elspeth Smite or a lot of other things. Or same with this, right? You just have that weird thing. And their entire hand was enchantment, 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 enchantment. Die to what's on the board. Which is like just hard to do in standard, especially with like Corey Steel Cutters, right? I think these could just be enchantments to exile this, and then you're probably fine. But either way, we take the win. We're in Diamond. All right, the first game in Diamond on the play. Very cool. We'll keep. I have a Copperline Gorge and a pass. May invest this, may not invest this. Who knows? All right, we're investing it. Rather not have to deal with the creature, just get it out of the way. I'll play our little haster here for 2, and then we'll play this land, or we'll cycle the Questing Druid, see what's up, because it's until my next turn. Until the end of your next end step, yeah. Okay. It's not an Oculus, so I feel okay. I guess pass. It's so weird with this card because, like, to one extent I want to play it, just have it start growing as a threat, but also it's just like cycling it for the draw too is kind of why we're playing it, right? Sure. You could have a Spell Pierce here too. It's kind of the other thing, right? No? A land and a might. Okay. Gonna cast this just to grow this, I suppose. And it worked out well. We got to play a Swift Spear and this grew even more. This just says draw a card if you control a mouse, it gets bigger. I thought it was the opposite way. I'm pretty sure I said that earlier, that I thought it was the opposite way, but or I implied that it was the opposite way. Vigilance creature going to grow by 2 here. Not good for the team. It could grow by more. Helping Hand, not necessarily the best in the spot, but now it's 5/5. Double Monstrous Rage does answer a lot of things here. Our Questing Druid can get larger than need. Play this here. We can play these till next turn, and if it just so happens to like screw us in a way that we draw 2 lands here, then so be it, I guess. Okay. That's an interesting take for us. Now, if the Helping Hand is back, it's gone. Do I just play the Corey Steel Cutter and then Monstrous Rage? I think so. A Haster is just good in the next turn as it would be this turn. In we go. So it doesn't grow large enough on its own, but this will actually make it go to 6 toughness. So we'll actually get to trample over and hit them for 1,000,000. And now they have to answer our board with us having another Monstrous Trade and everything like that. Oh, did I lost it? Your next end step. Oh, okay. Oops. But I still think Cutter is the better card, though. So that's a draw 2. They let the Helping Hand go earlier. Well, they get a Helping Hand here. They do. So this is going to grow by a bajillion this turn. Innocuous. Yeah, so it's a 6/7 to start off the turn. Okay. So we have to cast here. Play here. Obviously, we're going to Monstrous Rage our Questing Druid. And then that's just going to get the job done. Because best case scenario, they block Questing Druid for themselves. Can I view the battlefield? Thank you. So this is at 7 because of cast. It's going to get a plus an additional 3. So it's going to trample over for 3. This is getting a prowess trigger to go up a turn. And then this is going to bring up another 2. So it's going to be exactly enough. So cool. We move on. All right. So here we are with the kind of Gruul list that ended up winning a challenge, which is pretty awesome. Honestly, I think Quarry Steel Cutter has been weirdly one of the better things to happen to standard, but also like maybe one of the worst, depending kind of how you see it. And what I mean by that is it kind of feels like Quarry Steel Cutter eliminated some of the nonsense decks in best of one. You could argue mono red is, but it feels like this card has allowed us to put so much pressure on the decks like Omniscience I've been seeing less frequently, or just like the random squirming emergence, stuff like that, where it's so hard to prep for those in best of one, and like control is struggling to deal with like a Quarry Steel Cutter. So you have game, like you're actually getting to play games because the card exists, whereas like before as a red player it's like go until I get temporary lockdown, and then if I have nothing in hand, concede. If not, maybe I can just burn them out. Whereas like Steel Cutter obviously can still get locked under a lockdown, but for the games when they don't have that and it's just like a get lost, things like that, and they can't necessarily remove it, you're allowed to continue to play the game out and keep going. And it become like I've had a lot more decisions matter games in best of one lately than I have where it's been just like, oh wow, they have the nuts, I guess I lose. And hopefully that makes sense, even though I kind of talked in a circle there. But other than that, I mean, any aggro deck with Quarry Steel Cutter in it right now is going to be good. They were opting to play a little bit more card draw in a rolling elemental or a hearth elemental, and then the Stoke Genius, not Stroke, my boy over here in the library having a stroke apparently. But then Questing Druid has just always been kind of that weird curveball card that red has played on and off, just because, as you saw in that last game, it grew up to a 7/7 so quickly. Because we're wanting to cast a ton of spells anyway, because of Quarry Steel Cutter, we're able to kind of grow this and invest in this regardless, because we're getting paid back by the Quarry Steel Cutter. So with that said, I hope you all enjoyed, even though it's quite a big aggro. Today is my birthday. Yeah, when this goes live, it'll be my birthday. It's not my birthday now, but when this goes live, I will have grown 1 year older. I'm dying. I'm getting older, dude. Help. With that said, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.